The day I realized my marriage was over wasn't the day I found out about the affair. It was the day my husband looked me in the eyes and said, "I think it would be less awkward if you skip Thanksgiving this year." I remember staring at him, waiting for him to laugh. He didn't. Instead, he shifted his weight like I was the one making things uncomfortable. "I've already told my parents you'll understand." Understand what? That after 16 years of marriage, I was suddenly being replaced? My name is Lauren. I'm 43 years old, and until that moment, I believed loyalty eventually mattered. I was wrong. 3 months earlier, I'd started noticing small changes. Eric suddenly protected his phone like it contained national secrets. He began working late every Tuesday and Thursday. His shirt smelt like perfume I didn't own. When I asked if everything was okay, he smiled. "You worry too much." I wanted to believe him. 16 years together creates habits stronger than logic. We owned a beautiful home outside Charlotte. No children, just 2 careers we'd built side by side. I was a financial analyst earning about $118,000 a year. Eric managed regional sales for a medical equipment company. From the outside, we looked like the dependable couple everyone admired. Inside, something had quietly died. Then one Saturday afternoon, everything became clear. Eric was in the shower, his phone lit up on the kitchen counter. Normally, I never touched it. That day, the screen displayed a message before it locked. "I can't wait until Thanksgiving. It'll finally be our first holiday together." Vanessa, I didn't scream. I didn't throw his phone. I simply stood there until the water stopped running. When he walked into the kitchen wrapped in a towel, I handed him his phone. "You have a message." His face lost every bit of color. Silence stretched between us. Finally, he sighed. "I was going to tell you." "Were you?" "I've been seeing someone." The words landed softly, almost politely, as if he were discussing weekend plans instead of destroying 16 years of marriage. "How long?" 8 months. 8 months. 8 months of lies. 8 months of pretending everything was normal. 8 months while I cooked dinners, celebrated anniversaries, and defended him whenever friends joked that married men eventually lose interest. I nodded once. "Does she know you're married?" He hesitated. "She knows now." Now, meaning she hadn't known before. At least there had been one honest person in this disaster. Or maybe not. I didn't ask. Instead, I walked upstairs, packed a suitcase, and spent the weekend with my friend Melissa. She cried more than I did. "You have to confront him. I already did. You have to fight for your marriage." I looked out her kitchen window. "No, what? I have to fight for myself." Monday morning, I met with an attorney. Not because I wanted revenge, because I wanted facts. The attorney listened carefully before asking one question. "Do you know your household finances?" I smiled. I managed most of them. That answer changed everything. Over the next several weeks, I quietly reviewed every account, every credit card, every retirement statement, every investment. That's when I discovered something even worse than the affair. Eric hadn't just been lying emotionally, he'd been lying financially. Over the previous 11 months, he'd withdrawn exactly $46,850 from our joint savings. Luxury hotels, jewelry, designer handbags, vacation packages, restaurant bills, everything connected to Vanessa, paid with money we'd both earned, money we'd agreed was for remodeling our kitchen. My attorney organized every transaction into neat folders. "Don't confront him yet," she advised. Why? Because people reveal more when they believe they're winning. So I waited. Meanwhile, Eric became strangely confident. He started spending weekends away without excuses, stopped wearing his wedding ring, even introduced Vanessa to some coworkers. Apparently, I had become history before anyone bothered informing me. Then came the conversation that changed everything. 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, Eric sat across from me at the kitchen table. "I've been thinking." I nodded. "I'd like to keep things respectful." "I agree." "So, Vanessa will be joining my family for Thanksgiving." I kept my expression calm. "I see. My parents have already met her. That hurt. Not because they liked her, because they'd hidden it from me. They've been very supportive. Of course they had. His mother had spent years reminding me that I never gave her grandchildren. Now she'd found someone younger. Someone she thought could. Then Eric said something I'll never forget. "It might be better if you don't come." I folded my hands. "Why?" "I don't want unnecessary drama." Drama. Interesting word. He was asking the wife to disappear so the mistress could sit comfortably in her chair. "I understand," I said quietly. His shoulders relaxed. "I knew you'd be reasonable." Reasonable, that word almost made me laugh. After he left the room, I called my attorney. "I think it's time." She paused only a second. "Are you sure?" "Yes. The evidence is complete." "It is. The divorce papers are ready." "I know. And the financial reimbursement request totals exactly $46,850 plus legal fees." I looked at the calendar. Thanksgiving, 3 days away. "No changes," I said. None the next afternoon. I received an unexpected phone call. It was Eric's mother. "I hope you're making the right decision." "What decision?" "Not embarrassing the family." I smiled to myself. I have no intention of embarrassing anyone. She sounded relieved. "Good. Vanessa is lovely." "I'm sure she is. I hope someday you'll find happiness too." "I already have." She laughed softly. "I doubt that." I ended the call politely. Then I placed one large envelope into my purse. Inside it were copies of every bank transfer, every hotel receipt, every jewelry purchase, the divorce petition, and one final document Eric had never expected me to find. A signed loan application listing himself as separated. Dated 5 months earlier. While we were still living together, Thanksgiving morning arrived. I got dressed in a navy blue dress Eric had once said made me look elegant. I wasn't dressing for him, I was dressing for myself. As I drove toward his parents' house, my phone buzzed. Melissa texted, "Are you sure you want to do this?" I smiled. "I'm not going to make a scene. I'm simply bringing the truth to dinner." I parked outside the house. Through the dining room window, I could already see the table. Every seat was filled, except one, mine. Only someone else was already sitting in it. Vanessa, she was laughing beside Eric while his mother poured her a glass of wine. I picked up the envelope, took one slow breath, reached for the front door, and walked inside. The room fell silent the moment I stepped through the front door. Every conversation stopped. Every fork hovered above a plate. Eric looked up first. The color drained from his face. "Lauren," he whispered. His mother stood so quickly her chair scraped across the hardwood floor. "I thought we agreed you weren't coming." I closed the front door behind me and smiled politely. "I don't remember agreeing to that." Vanessa looked from Eric to me, suddenly uncomfortable. She was younger than me by at least 12 years. She looked nervous, not smug. For a second, I wondered how much she actually knew. Eric walked toward me. "This isn't the time." "I agree," I said calmly. "That's why I'll keep this brief." His father cleared his throat. "Lauren, let's not ruin Thanksgiving." I looked around the table. "I'm not here to ruin Thanksgiving." I held up the large envelope. "I'm here to clear up a misunderstanding." His mother crossed her arms. "What misunderstanding?" "The one where everyone believes I'm the unreasonable wife." No one spoke. I walked to the empty chair that had always been mine. Vanessa immediately started to stand. "I'm so sorry," she whispered. I didn't know I gently touched her shoulder. "Please, stay seated." She looked surprised. "This isn't about the chair." I remained standing instead. Then, I opened the envelope. I only need 5 minutes. Eric's voice became sharper. Lauren, stop, no. It was the first time in months I had interrupted him. I've spent 16 years listening. You can spend 5 minutes listening to me. The room stayed silent. I removed the first stack of papers. These are bank statements from our joint savings account. I slid copies across the table. His father adjusted his glasses. His mother frowned. Eric took one step forward. What are you doing? Showing the truth. I pointed to highlighted transactions. $7,850 at a luxury resort. $4,200 at a jewelry store, $9,400 for a Caribbean vacation, $3,600 in designer handbags. One by one, I read the amounts. Every receipt had a date. Every payment came from the account we had created together to renovate our kitchen. His mother stared at Eric. You said you paid for those yourself. He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. I continued. The total is exactly $46,850. I looked around the table. That's how much marital money was spent on his affair. The silence became heavy. Vanessa slowly reached for one of the receipts. I didn't know these came from your joint account. Eric finally spoke. It wasn't like that. I looked directly at him. Then explain it. He couldn't. Instead, he rubbed his forehead. His father lowered the papers onto the table. Eric, is this true? He didn't answer. That answer was enough. I removed another document. This is the divorce petition. I placed it in front of Eric. You've officially been served. His mother gasped. On Thanksgiving? I nodded. No, I filed last week. You've simply been handed the papers today. Eric stared at the first page as if it were written in another language. You already filed? Yes, you didn't even tell me. I smiled sadly. You stopped telling me things about 8 months ago. No one argued with that. Then I removed the final document. This one surprised me the most. I handed copies to his parents. Eric lunged toward me. Don't. I stepped back. It's already done. His father read the first paragraph. His expression changed instantly. What is this? I answered before Eric could. A loan application. His mother looked confused. So? I continued calmly. It was signed 5 months ago. I paused, and on the section asking about marital status, his father finished reading aloud. Separated. The room froze. His mother looked at Eric. You told the bank you were separated? We weren't. I quietly answered for him. We were still sharing the same home. His father slowly folded the document. That's a legal declaration. It is. Eric buried his face in his hands. I was trying to simplify the paperwork. My attorney's voice echoed in my mind. People reveal more when they think they're winning. I reached into my purse one last time. This is my attorney's business card. I placed it beside the divorce papers. Any future communication about finances can go through her. Then I turned toward Vanessa. She looked like she wanted to disappear. I owe you something. She looked up cautiously. What? The truth. I handed her a copy of the loan application. He told the bank he was separated. She nodded slowly. He told me he already was. The room went silent again. She looked at Eric. You said the divorce was almost finished. He didn't answer. You told me she had already moved out. Still nothing. Tears filled her eyes, not dramatic tears, just quiet disappointment. She stood. I can't do this. Eric reached for her arm. Vanessa, she gently pulled away. No, she looked at me. I'm sorry. I believe you. She picked up her coat and walked out the front door. No shouting, no insults, just footsteps fading into the cold November afternoon. For the first time that day, I felt sorry for her. She hadn't stolen a good man. She had inherited a dishonest one. Eric sank into his chair. His mother whispered, "Why would you lie to everyone?" He looked at the table. I didn't think it would end like this. His father stood. No, it ended exactly where your choices were leading. I picked up my purse. I'll be going. His mother stopped me. Lauren, I turned. Her eyes were filled with tears. I owe you an apology. I smiled politely. Maybe someday. Then I walked out, not because I had lost my place in that family, because I no longer needed one. 6 months later, the divorce was finalized without a trial. The court ordered Eric to reimburse me the $46,850 he had spent from our joint savings, along with a fair division of our remaining assets. I kept the house because I bought it before we were married and had carefully documented every payment. My attorney later told me that staying calm had made every legal decision easier. Facts speak louder than anger ever can. I used part of the settlement to renovate the kitchen we'd been saving for. Only this time, I chose every cabinet, every countertop, and every light fixture without compromise. The house finally felt like mine. Melissa came over the day the renovation was finished. She looked around and smiled. It feels different. It is. What changed? I did. She laughed. No, you stopped trying to save people who were comfortable hurting you. She was right. A few weeks later, I ran into Eric at a grocery store. He looked tired. Older, he nodded awkwardly. How have you been? I smiled. Peaceful. He looked down. I made the biggest mistake of my life. Maybe he had. But it was no longer my responsibility to comfort him. I hope you find what you're looking for. Then I pushed my cart toward the checkout without looking back. That was the last time I saw him. Sometimes people think revenge is making someone suffer. I've learned something different. Real revenge is building a life so full of peace that the people who hurt you become strangers in your happiest memories. They expected me to fight for a seat at their table. Instead, I built a better table, one where respect was always invited. Moral never confused silence with weakness. Quiet dignity, supported by truth and preparation, is stronger than any loud argument. When someone repeatedly disrespects your worth, choose your self-respect over preserving the relationship. If you've ever been underestimated, comment below. And subscribe to Her Calm Comeback for more stories of quiet power.